footballer's profession is a really well-paid one, and football is a game people of any background can play, provided they have talent. This is why many parents send their children to sports academies so that they give their mom and dad a comfortable old age. But apart from big money, there are things like exhausting trainings, strict diets, and public criticism. Such things may easily outshine the luxury of being a football star, and for that reason, there are many professional footballers who actually hate their job. So this video, brought to you by Goal24, is about 10 players who don't like football. But first, we'd like you to answer this question. This English striker once passed all the exams and was offered a scholarship by Harvard University. He turned them down though, as his ultimate goal was to play football in the Premier League, and that is what he's doing now. Can you guess what player we're talking about? Patrick Bamford, Marcus Rashford, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, Danny Ings? Please leave your answers in the comments, and now let's get into it. Ragnar Sigurdsson. You may remember the Iceland centre-back for his determination and solid defending that helped his team reach the Euro quarter-final in 2016. But the thing about such a distinguished Icelander, who played 97 matches for his national team, is that Ragnar doesn't really like football. He didn't know who Mario Mandzukic was until his team faced Croatia in a World Cup group stage game in 2018. And generally speaking, Sigurdsson believes that football is not as exciting nowadays as it used to be. Apart from that, the modern player's attitude on and off the pitch, constant scandals and diving is yet another thing the 36-year-old player dislikes about football. Ragnar hardly ever watches it on TV, as he would rather watch a film, and is also much more passionate about learning languages. In January 2022, Ragnar at last retired from football. His last team was the Swedish side Göteborg. A footballer's career has most likely helped him earn a decent sum of money, which will allow Sigurdsson to start a new chapter while following his heart. Bobby Zamora. The Englishman used to play for 4 different London clubs and even had 2 international caps. Bobby Zamora, the third best Brighton goalscorer, played for the Seagulls when Premier League football was no more than a dream for the club. As for Bobby, he had quite a career in top-flight football with 252 appearances for Tottenham, Fulham, West Ham and QPR and 47 goals. In 2010, Zamora was very close to winning the Europa League with Fulham, but had to suffer a defeat against Atletico Madrid in the final. It might seem that passion for football is essential for such a career, but Zamora is not the case. The striker would admit many times that he's not a fan of his profession, despite all the money it brings. I can't say what I'll be doing after I retire. I'm not a massive football fan really. Quite a lot of players then let on are the same. I don't watch games on an evening or anything like that. A lot of people find it strange. In 2016, Bobby's last season as a footballer came to an end. He spent that season at Brighton, a championship side back then, and hung up his boots. A year later, his team won promotion and managed to establish themselves as a decent Premier League side in the end. Zamora, in his turn, has been away from football since the moment he retired. However, should he decide to come back as a pundit, he may easily join the likes of Robbie Savage and Danny Murphy, as these two are now on the telly, despite not being the most famous of footballers. Christian Vieri. Back in the days, the Italian striker had a chance to play for almost every big club in Serie A: Juventus, Milan, Lazio and Inter. As a Nerazzurri player, Vieri scored 123 goals in all competitions and still remains the club's 8th best ever goalscorer. Christian also had a couple of spells outside of Italy, but found no success abroad, neither at Monaco nor at Atletico Madrid. However, a footballer's career was not what he used to dream of. Christian was raised in Australia, where cricket is way more popular than football. And that was Christian's childhood dream, to become a cricket player, just like his idol Alan Border. Though with time, Vieri abandoned his dreams about playing cricket and concentrated on football. Vieri's glorious career proved his football talents. After the 2008-9 season with Atalanta, the team Christian joined 3 times back in his days, he hung up his boots at the age of 36. Nowadays, it's no surprise to see footballers in their mid and even late 30s playing Serie A, so we may guess that Vieri could have stayed for a bit more, but it must have been his desire to quit football for good and finally retire. Gabriel Batistuta. The Argentine was considered one of the best strikers in Serie A in the late 90s and early 2000s. Gabriel Batistuta played for Inter, Roma and Fiorentina, the team he scored 203 goals for, which made him their best ever goal scorer. Speaking of his Argentina performance, Gabriel was no less prolific for his national team, as there's only one player to have scored more, Lionel Messi. All in all, the striker's career was no less than marvelous, but as you might have already guessed, Gabriel wasn't a big fan of football. Alessandro Rialti, the journalist who helped Batistuta write his autobiography, shared some information that really says a lot about the striker's attitude. According to Rialti's words, Batistuta was a model professional, but never liked the game. Once he left the stadium, he wished for football not to bother him anymore. Batistuta spent 5 days in the office telling Rialti about his family and his life in Argentina, but once asked about football, he answered, "There are notes over there, take a look." His playing career ended in 2005 as the Argentines' last season for the Qatari side Al Arabi finished, so after having earned decent money, Gabriel finally hung up his boots. Carlos Tevez. The Argentine hit the ground running in Europe as he joined West Ham in 2006, as after only one season, Carlos was signed by Manchester United and won the Premier League and the Champions League in his first season with the Red Devils. It didn't take him long though to become a persona non grata at Old Trafford. In 2009, Carlos left United for their bitter rivals, Manchester City. That gave us a hint about the player's approach to football. Nothing personal, just business. When Carlos was approaching the end of his career, he gave an interview and admitted not being into football. Do I watch football? No, never. Actually, I don't like this game. If Barcelona and Real Madrid are playing each other, but there's a golf tournament on another channel, I'll choose to watch the golf instead. I was never a fan of football. When Carlos was approaching the latter stages of his career at Boca Juniors, there came an offer from a Chinese club, which was ready to throw money at the striker. Carlos accepted it and went to China for 2 more seasons. Boca fans were infuriated with his move and didn't want him back. But Carlos returned in 2018, played another couple of seasons for Boca, and then hung up his boots. Aymeric Laporte. The Manchester City centre-back has already won 3 Premier League titles with his team, which he joined in January 2018. Aymeric's outstanding football intelligence is what makes him so crucial for the team and what helped him earn Guardiola's trust. Laporte was waiting for France to call him up for a long time, but his patience went thin as he joined the Spain national side as FIFA allowed him to play for La Roja. By the way, while Aymeric was in Qatar, he admitted that he's not that fond of his profession. "I'm not a football addict. Honestly, I don't like watching matches. I haven't looked at our pathway, haven't made any predictions. Do I even know which group ours crosses with? No idea." And apart from his international duty, such an attitude follows the defender even at Man City. "Honestly, when I play for City, I don't even know what time kickoff is. My family call and say, 'Hey, what time tomorrow?' But the thing is, I don't know." Laporte is now in his prime, 28 years old, so his playing career is surely far from being over. Mario Balotelli. While being in the spotlight years ago, the Italian once explained why he didn't celebrate his goals. "When a postman does his job, he doesn't celebrate. Why should I?" he said. And we must admit that there were a couple of exceptions. Like it was in the Euro 2012 semi-final when Mario scored 2 goals and each one was followed by a memorable celebration as the striker took off his shirt after he scored the second one. While still young, Balotelli was considered one of the most promising strikers, but after he had played for Inter, Manchester City and Milan, Mario's form dropped significantly in 2014 when he joined Liverpool. The Italian never returned to his best form, so his downfall continued in Turkey and Switzerland. It was probably Balotelli's bad temper that was the reason for his wasted talent. Mario would admit many times that football was no more than a job for him, so we can conclude that the Italian's lack of ambition and determination was the reason why he ended up in the Swiss Super League at the age of 32. Mauro Icardi. The Argentine is still considered a PSG player as he's currently playing for the Turkish side Galatasaray on loan. What is more, it's PSG that pays Icardi the bigger part of his salary. Mauro Icardi was never obsessed with football, unlike many other kids. His family knew, however, that a footballer's career may bring him a fortune, and so did Mauro. As a result, he agreed to become a footballer, and he did become a quality striker in the end. But as Icardi said not so long ago, he lived near Camp Nou while at Barcelona Academy and still paid little attention to his improvement as a footballer, as he would rather watch a film than a footage of his game. He didn't make it at Blaugrana, though still got recognized as a world-class striker while playing for Sampdoria and moved to Inter in 2013. As for now, Icardi is Inter's 7th best ever goalscorer with 124 goals. In 2019, he had to leave the Nerazzurri for the reason you've probably heard of. His wife and agent Wanda Nara was too stubborn with Mario's new contract negotiations, and Inter refused to accept her terms, while PSG was ready to offer the striker the salary she wanted. The Parisians must be kicking themselves for that signing, as now they have to pay Mauro the bigger part of his salary, which is 14.5 million euros per year, even though he's out on loan. Dani Alves. Dani Alves, one of the best right-backs of all time, is mostly known for his prime years at Barcelona. While at Barca, Dani won 3 Champions League titles and 6 La Liga trophies. What is more, he is the player to have won the biggest number of trophies, 43. But despite all that honors, football was never among Dani's biggest passions. As he said, he's going to pursue a career in music or in fashion once he retires. As for football, the Brazilian believes that it has completely turned into business and he doesn't seem to like it. I hate what surrounds football. I live in this world but do not belong to it. There are lies and other interests. I have flaws, but I'm honest. Sometimes I think that people are not prepared to listen and discuss truth. Unfortunately, Dani will most likely have to wait with career in music and fashion, as he was arrested in Barcelona and charged with sexual abuse. He's currently in custody, and it's far from certain that there'll be a chance for him to make a bail. Pumas, the Mexican side Dani played for, has already terminated his contract, and it's unlikely that any team would like to sign the Brazilian in the near future. And it's not about his reputation only. After all, Dani is about to hit 40, so maybe it's time for him to hang up his boots at last. Gareth Bale. The Welshman's outstanding progress in the early 2010s brought him the fame of one of the best Premier League players. In 2013, Gareth left Tottenham for Real Madrid, as Los Blancos came with a 101 million offer, which made the Welshman the most expensive transfer signing at that time. In his first season in Madrid, Gareth won the Champions League and Copa del Rey and scored in both finals. After that, his progress pretty much stopped, though Gareth managed to maintain a decent level of performance and win 3 more Champions League trophies. In 2018, it was Gareth to win it for Real Madrid in Kiev with his 2 goals off the bench. A couple of weeks later, Cristiano Ronaldo decided to leave the club and move to Juventus. And it was Gareth Bale who was expected to come out of the shadow and become a new leader. But Gareth seemed to have lost all interest in football, as he had already achieved everything. His attitude towards his job and his club became outrageous. He would disrespect his coach and even leave the stadium before the final whistle. Gareth lost all the motivation to fight for Real Madrid or even keep on doing his job, as he told the board he would rather sit on the bench and get paid until his contract was over. All in all, the Welshman acted as if he was sick and tired of football. His Wales performance was another story. Bale would always work harder on training while at Wales, and the iconic flag he once held, Wales, golf, Madrid, in that order, pretty much summed it up. Gareth finally left Real Madrid in summer 2022 and considered retiring from football. But Wales made it into the World Cup for the first time in 64 years, and Gareth changed his mind and signed a short-term contract with the MLS side Los Angeles. Wales failed to qualify for the knockout stage, and soon after it was all over, Bale hung up his boots at the age of 33. Now when his football career is finally over, Gareth must be feeling great relief, as it was too obvious that he was just too tired of it. Even when Real Madrid won the Champions League, Gareth didn't look concerned about it at all, as he kept away from his teammates while they were celebrating the victory. Dedicating your life to one profession is never easy. It requires great passion and motivation to keep going and not to burn out. The money footballers are paid is what makes this particular profession such a dream job for millions, as it may be enough to provide a retired athlete for the rest of his life. So no matter if you love this game or not, you can't deny the incredible opportunities it grants. Dear friends, which one of the footballers we've told you about could have achieved way more? Feel free to share your thoughts with us and other viewers in the comments. Thank you for watching and see you soon.